Hi, Suze.
Hi,
How
Heather.
are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Nice to see you.
You too. So, welcome to Scottish Women in Business SWIBinar.
Such a great name. I absolutely love that. The SWIBinar is brilliant. Such a good
So,
play.
I know. So, basically, we are doing some chats with local businesses and speakers just to learn more about you.
Okay, great.
So, straight into it, Suze. Tell me about yourself.
Okay, so hello, everybody, and hello to you again, Heather. So, my name is Sooz, and I have a company called Technology Coaching where we deliver digital skills trainings to small businesses, SME, and educational institutions. Previously, it was in Scotland, but now, obviously, with COVID, everything's went a little bit more global on that sense there as well. But yeah, that's what we do. We basically help small businesses flourish online with their online presence. Yeah.
Excellent. That's so important just now, like you say, with everything going online. I think everybody that maybe hasn't done it in the past is thinking this is now what they have to do.
Yeah.
And even those who have been online, the importance of it is it's key now, especially I think with COVID's not going away anytime soon, sadly. So yeah, your online presence is key. So tell me a bit about your work history and where you've worked, what your experience is, and how you got to starting your company.
Okay, great. So I've been training for about the last 20 years because it's been 20 years since I started university. And I can't believe I can actually say that, but the year 2000 was when I went to university, where I studied applied music with specialisation in industry, which meant I focused on audio engineering, music and sound production, music and film, video editing, video production, marketing, business, and all that fun, cool side of the music thing, the things that we don't actually realise happens in the background when we stick on our favourite playlist to listen to. And my goal whilst at university was to end up running my own record company, right? That was what I wanted to do. And that didn't happen, right? That didn't happen. So what's happened since once I left uni is that I got a job and I got made redundant. So I went, screw this. I want to travel. So I went to, looked online on Google, working in Japan. Nice. And I applied that night, got a phone call the next morning, went for an interview 3 weeks later in Edinburgh. And then 2 weeks after that, I got told I was going to Japan for a year to teach English.
Wow.
So in the space of like 4 weeks of me deciding that this is what I was going to do, I had applied, interviewed, and I was going to Japan. So in 2 months after that, that was January 2006, I went to Japan, where I was going to teach English as a foreign language. And I was only going for 1 year, stayed for 4. That's how much I absolutely loved it. But it was in there that I was the teacher only in a school. So I spent all day creating the lesson plans, working with kids from 0, so babies in arms, singing songs at them in English. It was so much fun, all the way up to 80 years old. So a day was spent like working with people and training them, creating lesson plans and seeing them develop and learn online. And I'd kind of got that bug because whilst at university, I was at Strathclyde, and Strathclyde had a school almost, they called mentors, where they brought students on as mentors to work with school-age kids to be able to help skills development, and I absolutely loved that, and I did that whilst I was at uni. So I went to Japan, and then I came back 4 years later, and then I got a job at Apple as what they call a creative, who was basically a technology trainer, and so that was in 2011. So that was me using my teaching skills that I had, and then also be able at that point to use what I'd learned at university, which was audio engineering, video production, recording and sound production, and then combining those two together to actually improve people's skills using technology. And that's basically where technology coaching started from, because in 2015 I decided that I was going to leave Apple at that point because the role was changing. They weren't going to do this role of creative anymore. And I wanted to have my own company. I knew that I still wanted that little bug that I had at university of me starting up my own record company was still there. So I decided that I was going to do it, and I then moved to legal corporate for 2 years as a technology trainer, where I looked after the online training for 15 offices across 23 countries, managing what's called their LMS, their learning management system. So not only was I the trainer in the Glasgow office, but also looked after the full training platform, the back end system for the lawyers in all of these 26 different offices. But whilst I did that, I also studied how to run a business, basically how to set up your own business. And so then it was in 2017, in June, because we're just 3 years old now, that I set up technology coaching, because I got a major client right off the bat, and that was it.
Brilliant.
With corporate, and then we've been working with small businesses, big businesses since then, and yeah, obviously that's it. So it's been a journey, but I think everything that I've done has got me to that path.
It does sound like it's flowed, the right jobs at the right time, and it's mad that you could think about teaching in Japan has actually created that path, and you never actually think teaching English does actually relate quite well into what you're doing now. Just and when you explain your path, it goes well.
I mean, that was also where I learned my work ethic as well, because you may or may not know, but Japanese culture is very different, obviously, than Scottish culture or even Western culture in that sense. And work ethic is hugely part of that. So showing up on time management, 20 minutes early is already late in Japan, right? You just don't ever turn up on time. You turn up half an hour before, and then you're not even early at that point. You're not sick, right? So you don't take sick days. You can't just call up and say that you're sick. You wear a mask. So I was wearing masks back in Japan and teaching with a mask on, and working with kids and adults in the classrooms at that point then as well, because that's just what you do. The work ethic is completely different, and I think that's what's really kept me going forward through everything and every other role that I have had, because it's the driven factor, it's the thing, got to do things right. If you're going to do them, try and do them as right as you can, right? And always work to your best at all times.
I think just now as well, that is really relevant with the whole COVID scenario too, that I think people that have got that work ethic and that drive really, really helps just now to keep going, particularly with small businesses. So before we go into the COVID stuff, tell us exactly what your company does.
So we work with small businesses to be able to help develop them individually or their team to better have a better presence online. So how does that look? So it could be that we're working on them with marketing skills, digital skills, systems and processes, social media marketing, and they can do that in a couple of different ways. They can come along to our workshops that are held throughout the week, and I've just, great news, just going to share right on here, that I've just brought my trainer back on, which I had to let go just at the start of COVID, and he's going to come and deliver the training, I think starting from next month, which is good. So you can attend the workshops, which are like group-based training, which are all done online via Zoom, and they're different because we interact during those sessions. It's not like a webinar where we actually get you to contribute as part of the training sessions like you would in a classroom-based environment. And the next step from that is that you can then either join one of our courses, which are pre-recorded, and you can learn the lessons from our pre-recorded courses, which we are building and updating all the time at the moment. And then we've also got one-to-one training, which is specific to you or your business, and they come in a range of packages where you can do what are called power hours, or a pro package where you can buy a group and spread that out throughout the year, where you get a specific training plan to work with you and your business. And then we're also hoping to move into the done for you packages, which means that if you really don't want to do it yourself, we can do it for you. But as I can now bring the team back on during COVID after, well, is this COVID still? I think it still is. Like, where are we? Who knows where we are at the moment? So that's going to be a little bit easier as well. So basically, in 3 words, we design, we develop, and we deliver digital skills training. That's it.
So I've been on a couple of your courses, and they're brilliant because, like you say, I found that they're quite short, sharp, and get that one thing done that you've decided that you need to do. And they are interactive, which is fantastic. And also, I've obviously had staff members go on with you as well when there's something specific that I need them to learn. So I think that flexibility as well, and actually being able to do it online has been great, because obviously you record it so we can look back on it too. So tell me about your highs and lows in the company.
Highs and lows. Okay, so I think that the highest point at the moment has been last year, so 2019. So at that point we were delivering training at Google Digital Garage through in Edinburgh. So I was travelling through there from Glasgow a couple of times a month, and delivering workshops that were out with of what they could deliver as part of Google. So they would just partner up with other companies to come in and facilitate. And it was there I started to build an audience again, build a community of people, both in person and offline, through the email list as well, and then also on the social platforms. And then through that communication of me posting about me going out and delivering these trainings for Google in Edinburgh, that's when I got a really lovely LinkedIn message, which is why I would always recommend that you use LinkedIn to posting as a business owner, to go, hey, I see what you're doing. I like what your company does. Do you want to have a call? Because we've got a project with Facebook at the moment that I think that you would be great for. I was like, yes, straight away. When can we meet? And so then we met in the Starbucks at Royal Exchange Square in Glasgow, where I met this wonderful woman called Linda, who was working for a company called Freeformers at that time. She's now moved to Amazon since the start of lockdown. And at that point, she told me about this project that they were running, which was called the Facebook Digital Skills Training Programme, where they were funding to train 75,000 people across Europe within the ages of 18 to 30-year-olds, to be able to give them a digital skills certification so that they can use that to help them in what they call the future workforce, and using the future workforce model to get them into their next job. And it was at that coffee meeting that I came on board as the partner for Scotland to deliver to 3,000 young people across Scotland, and that was in May last year. So by June to December, we had the target to get 3,000 people trained, which we met and exceeded, which was incredible. So worked with most of the universities across Scotland, most of them that we could get the opportunity to, colleges as well as other institutions that work with young people, and small businesses that we helped as well, to be able to give them the digital skills. And that led us on to the next projects and the next projects from there as well. So just to kind of sum up, last year was great. And I think it all just goes from what you share with your audience about what you do.
Yeah, I think that's great. People. And actually, we were having a conversation just before we started recording about, now that everything's going online, how do you compete in the market? And I think just what you've said, actually telling your story and having those big names of Google and Facebook behind you, and that longevity and experience is what I think will keep people going to you. I know.
That's what I hope anyway, because we've had this immediate credibility right off the bat. And I have to say that does come from my experience and the fact that I was a trainer at Apple, then we moved to Google. So it's been this experience that I've had through my journey, and how I'm able to then communicate that to the businesses that I'm having conversations with, I think is really important as well, because they can see that you can work with systems and processes, and that you can work in a fluid way, and you can take action and you can implement. And that was the feedback that we got from not only Google, but also with Facebook, is that they'd never had a partner that could implement 3,000 in the space of, we actually facilitated it over 3 months. So we were training almost 1,000 people every month across all of Scotland. I had a team of trainers, and they didn't have that. They'd had a year and a half before, and we hadn't had partners doing that. So I think that's credible to me, really, and what I've been able to do. Not that I ever pat myself in the back, but I've just done it right here.
Sometimes we all need to, don't we? You've got to look at your successes as well as, it's too easy to look at just the failures, isn't it? I think sometimes you look at the successes and remember them too. Yeah. So then obviously COVID has hit. So tell us how that impact that's made on the company.
So after last year, we finished up the project on the 13th of December, And then obviously Christmas, and I went, I need a break, right? I've not been away, not taken a holiday since setting up my own business, and a lot of business owners can relate to that as well. So I took a break and I went to Bali for a month in January, and it was lovely. And I came back in the first weekend in February. So I started back on the 3rd of February back in the office, and I got a phone call from Facebook again asking me to take on their next project, which was the Facebook Community Boost events that were going to be held in 6 countries across Europe. And I was going to design what those days' events were. So the 1-day event plus the 6 online training sessions that they would have after that. And I was like, yeah, totally going to do that. That's going to be such a great opportunity to not only help upskill thousands of businesses across Europe, but also train the team and develop the content for it as well. So it was a no-brainer for me. But to go back to 1,000 miles an hour again after just taking a break. So we had that contract, which I then had went to Facebook in February to be able to, in Dublin, which is such a cool place, by the way, if you get the opportunity to go, to discuss that project. We had just signed a new contract with NHS Lothian to deliver their training sessions for the next year for their staff, which was a really good project as well, because we'd done work with them through the digital skills project the year before. And then COVID hit and we were in lockdown, right, in the first 2 weeks of March. So that week of lockdown was, we lost the Facebook project, we lost the NHS, we had to give back that money that we'd been paid, obviously, right, no brainer. And then I had to let go of a team member as well, because obviously the contracts were gone because they work on a contractual basis, unfortunately. And so it was like, right, okay, I've got 1 contract now, that's good, I can keep working with that. It's the work we're doing with Transport Scotland. But then I was going, right, how can I help other businesses at this time? Because obviously they're going to need to have a digital presence if they haven't before. So I went right back to what I did when I started working with small businesses. That I went, I've got a ton of resources, a ton of guides, checklists, workbooks, all the tools and apps and resources that they need. And I'm going to put them into a membership site, which I call the free resources site. Super simple, right? And I put everything in there. There's over 30 guides, workbook, checklists on 7 different topics to get your business flourishing online, all the way from like getting started to nailing your niche, to understanding your core offerings, to getting your social presence set up, to email marketing, the things that you need to do to get seen online. They're all available completely for free. And they're all in a free resources site that I was then driving traffic to, which is not literally in a car, but like doing advertising through Facebook and Instagram to get people onto that platform, where we've now got about 2,500 people across all of UK that have access to these resources, which is good. And then I went, right, okay, how can I level this up even more? And I went, okay, well, let's go into the live training again, because obviously I miss training, right? I miss being in front of people and helping them develop and learn. So this is where the live sessions then came from that. And now I'm really happy that I can bring Francis back on so that he can facilitate and he can deliver, because he was a trainer at Google. He delivered the Facebook digital skills training, so he's absolutely amazing trainer at what it is that he does, and other people can get to see that from him as well. And I can bring him back on board. So basically we went from being rubbish, it was terrible, being chucked out the office, losing clients, losing that next bit of work, obviously money's part of that, then going, actually, well, let's flip that around, let's try and help as many people as we can by offering these resources that we use, which doesn't really cost me anything except my time to kind of get them up there and help as many more businesses as possible, really.
Do you know, that's such a good way of looking at it as well, as it taking that positive step of actually helping other people, because there's lots of industries that first 2 weeks was horrific for, and
yours is one of them.
The events industry
completely, yeah.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster. So but you do, once you've got over that part, you do need to go, right, what do you do next? And so I was like, well, that's kind of been in lockdown that I've obviously come across your company and used it a lot, and it's exactly what people need. And I actually think it's got lots of longevity to grow even more. Just doing that online stuff, even if COVID went away, That is so important, I think. I don't think everything will go back to those physical events and physical
Not in the same way, no way.
Obviously, touch wood, all the events and physical face-to-face is gonna happen, but the online thing I think is definitely here to stay.
Yeah.
So we try and keep this to 20 minutes, nice little coffee break. So let's finish up, Sooz, with, can you give me your 5 top social media tips? And it can be across any platform. Sure. We've got such a variety of members in SWIB, so go for it. Your 5 top tips for people.
Okay, first one is consistency is key. So that means being on the platforms where you know that your audience is and having a consistent name and visual representation across all of them. This is what you might have heard of as your handle. So making sure that your name is the same and it looks the same across all your platforms that your audience are on, and then have a plan about how you engage with them is the second tip. So provide content that is engaging and then interactive by asking questions, and then also part of your promotion and what is it that you do to solve their problems. So engaging, interaction and connection are your 3 types of posts to create. Part of that should be videos. So you should have videos across all of your platforms, and it doesn't need to be complicated videos. You do not need to spend a fortune on a video editor to do it. We all carry a microcomputer and a full photography and video editing suite in our hands. You use this, and you just need a few simple tools to be able to learn how to create engaging videos for social media using your smartphone. And go live. Okay, go live as much as you can. Show up. Be there for your audience. Be online. Communicate to them. Ask them questions. Let them tell you what it is that they want. And they only do that by engaging with them, interacting with them. So live is super important to do that. All right. And have fun. Social media is about interacting and engaging with your audience and communicating with them. And people like to do that when they're having fun, right? If people are not having fun, they'll leave, right? Just like you would if you're at a party or a coffee shop, you'll get the hell out of there because you're not having fun. It's the exact same as it is online. The more that you are energetic, you show your business personality, your unique business personality, the more that people will engage and interact and socialize with that. And remember, it's social and it's not social media. It's not about you, it's social media, which is about them as well. Okay, that's my 5 top tips for you there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Great. So if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
You can find us at technologycoachingonline.com or on socials at technologycoaching.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sooz, for joining our SWIBinar, which will be on YouTube and on the SWIB blog in the next week.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Heather. And if anyone's got any questions, they can always just send me a message and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.